Namaskaram. My name is Devashish Saxena, and for the final showcase, I'm going to talk about gender, education, and citizen-centric mechanism. I always wanted to establish this concept, the citizen-centric concept, in each and every framework, whenever and wherever possible. But unfortunately, wasn't able to put all this through a single framework. But when I think about education, this is something, this is a framework where I think citizen centered governance can easily take place and actually deliver the effective results for an individual and for the society as well. When I talk about gender, in most of the situations, I have seen this and I'm noticing this that in the NCRT textbooks, in the state state board textbooks, we haven't started talking about third gender yet. I'm waiting for the day then actually we will begin with talking about the third gender. And that's when we can actually bring the change that we are looking for. When I talk about gender in education, mm, I don't talk about narrative but a rooted reality, which is that yes, there is a discrimination that still exists. Yes, there is a discrimination, and discrimination takes place in rural areas as well as in urban areas. And what can we do actually to remove this discrimination or to eradicate this discrimination wholly? The very first process when it comes to my mind is when I talk about citizen-centric mechanism is to have a systematic surrounding that can actually keep an eye, have a world with the parents, and can actually bring the results that we are looking for. I'm talking about the local body representation. I personally believe that in this education system, we have seen the decentralization framework, but somehow, somewhere, the decentralization never took place. That is why we need a local body representation so that the local body representative can actually examine the facilities which are being provided by the system, the facilities which are being provided by the parents to the children. Now, when I particularly talk about education, there comes this gender biasness is there, curriculum biasness is there, and whatnot. So basically, I agree that the kind of society that we have particularly is actually cannot fulfill the desire to attain education. But we are moving ahead. We are removing the barriers, and we are capturing it. But what about the system? I have seen this. I'm sure many of us must have noticed this pattern that in the textbooks, what really happened with the gender positions? A boy has to go to another city, has to earn money. This is what being shown to us through textbooks. And a girl has to do home science course, has to do all the home related activities, get married, and this is what we are showing. So I think that if this is the this is the one way, this is a single way to communicate what you are trying to show to the society or to the individual, that things are like this and it is going to be like this. So I think we need to change the curriculum there. We need to be gender sensitive. We need to take all the genders along in this education framework. To whom we are educating if we are doing this biasness? Are we educated enough to talk about this? Are we educated enough to raise this point on this? The main problem that exists in a governance framework in education sphere is that most of the policies were citizen centric. It implemented well, but the output was very bad. After the implementation by the directorates, the bureaucrats failed to notice the field patterns, failed to notice the shortcomings there, failed to notice the psychological and sociological behavior there. So, for example, uh, in 1964, 1966, Kothari Commission has talked about the engagement with community, and same well, Balwant Rai in 1954 Commission has talked about that the local presentation should be there. So what actually we need? In my personal opinion, I think a female or a male counselor, a social and psychological counselor should be there in rural areas as well as in urban areas. And I request the state government to hire someone from that particular place and train that person in this social and psychological behavior learning without any biasness, so that the particular counselor can actually counsel the parents who are stopping their girl child to go school, can actually counsel the parents who are discriminating between their children, can actually counsel the child what is right and what is wrong for them, so that we can actually stop the societal deviation. Apart from this, when we talk about the village education committee, I think Balwant Rai Mehta committee also said that the primary school education should go in the hands of panchayat. But what happened? The output was most of the panchayats and sarpanchs were not aware of this policy, that it has been implemented by the government. So, who should be accountable for this? So basically, we do accept that we do not have proper hierarchy, proper staffing to communicate these policies at the grassroots level. And if we are not communicating, we are not implementing at the grassroots level, we are unable to achieve the desirable goal of gross enrollment ratio by 2035, which is 50%. We are not going to ever achieve that because the South has already achieved this much of gross enrollment ratio and North hasn't achieved yet. And that is again there is a discrimination of policies, discrimination of targets. So we need to stop this thing. When we say about citizen-centric mechanism, we value a village education communities, which actually includes value, should take place. It implemented. Again, I am saying most of the policies were implemented by the government, but we failed to have a check on them. We failed because of the lack of local body representation, lack of the decentralization process. What I think should take place is a counselor, a social and psychological counselor, which can actually examine the societal and family values and understand the problem of the child and actually can resolve the problems. First thing. Second thing, the local body representation also includes the MLA, counselor. What are we expecting from them? Why are we giving votes to them? Socialistic model of education should take place in India, and the local MLAs needs they need to take a stand for the community, and they particularly need to build a government school for the children, a cluster regional school which can actually help them to have an education from primary to secondary school at one place. provide the transportation, provide the food through policies like midday meal. Apart from this, the human resources that actually parents can provide would actually help the policies to get implemented well. Lali Lakshmi Yojana, Pade Beti, Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, Midday Meal Scheme, all these policies can be well implemented if we actually involve the citizen-centric governance. What really happens with the ML is that they actually open a school, but it is private funded. So they use that money for the political campaigns, and actually it does not benefit the society at any cost. So we need to make sure that whosoever we are voting for actually build a school for our children and can actually bring a change in the sustainable development society that we are looking for. Thank you.